Hey, welcome everybody. So we are here.
Here we are.
Seven Sisters Mystery School. My name is Marguerite Rigoglioso and I'm the founding director. And I am here with Ariana Newcomer. Today we are filming Ariana in something very exciting. She is a level 4 Dove Oracle Priestess. She has gone through 4 of the advancing levels to really hone herself as an oracle, somebody who can transmit information divinely by connecting up through what I call her goddess self. Some people call it the higher self. And so we have a series of questions here that Ariana is doing for her level 4 participation. And these questions, this is an interesting activity that we're doing here. These questions range from things that Ariana is more familiar with to things that she is less familiar with. So Ariana, I just want to say welcome and let you say a few words to have your energy in our field with us.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really actually very excited to be doing this. I have just loved every single level of this training, and having, getting out here and doing this live with you is another step out. And some of the questions that we're going to be doing are about things that I know nothing about. And this was one of my goals for level 4 training, was to start being able to bring through information from spirit about things that I don't know anything about. So to expand myself in that way and give myself permission to do that.
Yes. And as you give yourself permission, so every person on the planet gives themselves permission to access information directly from the hologram, from what we might call the Akashic records, all the information from past, present, and future, known and to be known. And that is the aim of the Oracle training, is to get women to truly access what is automatically available, but we have so many veils and things that get in the way of us being able to do that, that we have to spend extra time and intention practicing. So here we are. That's what the Priestess of the Dove Oracle training is all about. Before we go further, I'm going to just say hello to our people on Facebook. We do have some viewers here. We have some friends and fans, and we are inviting anybody who wishes to write in, to say hello, and to also pose your own questions, some of which might get going once Ariana and I get going. You might be inspired. And if we have time, we will start looking at that. So Ariana, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes and just ground yourself for a minute. And then you can use whatever method you like. If you'd like to have your eyes closed, or if you'd like to have your eyes open, whatever facilitates you to accessing divine information is fine. And we are just acknowledging Mother Earth beneath us, Mother Cosmos and Father Cosmos above us, and all the beings of the subtle realms that are our allies and protectors, to be here, supporting us and protecting us in this Oracle transmission today. We're feeling the spirits of all those who are watching live, who will be seeing at another time in the space of no time and all time. Inviting your spirits to come in and support this Oracle transmission, this drawing in of divine information, and this further seeding of the hologram with the ability for all of us, whatever gender, to be able to do this. All right, so taking a deep breath in and exhaling. So Ariana, we're going to start with this first very interesting question. How can we cultivate a greater sense of positiveness in these very intense times right now.
This is on everybody's mind. I see everybody, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people posting on Facebook, a lot of my colleagues, sisters in the Priestess trainings. We're all going through really intense times. And of course, the politics are really intense right now. And it feels very important. It's a very important time. And what I am always brought back to when I connect in and start talking with spirit is number one, nature. That we as humans have tended to lose our connection to nature, and that is a place where we can always find grounding, calming, centering, and joy. And this isn't necessarily an oracle transmission, but there are studies that show that people are much happier when we're out in nature, and it actually is healing for us. And the trees, I have been working with the trees for a number of years now. I happen to live on land right in the redwood forest in Central California. And these marvelous beings are ready and waiting to work with us. And they would like to remind everyone that all trees are available in general to be our allies, and that they love to help with this kind of thing, helping us ground, helping us center, helping us return to the place where we are not knocked off what we know, our internal truth, and to come home to our wisdom inside. So that's number one. And then they're also, my guides sometimes are very funny. And they are kind of laughing, and they just, oh, you humans, you just get so wrapped up, you get so worried, you get so, oh, just, breathe, people. Remember to breathe. Remember to put your feet on the earth. Remember to get in water. Remember to love your friends and hug your children and hug your pets. You may have heard my dogs barking in the background. They're a good reminder that there is so much more to our existence than what we get on the computer like this, and what we get in the news, and what we get in even the energies that are coming to us from this political realm, from the news and what all is going on in the world. And that to come home to love, pay more attention to love. Love is what we can bring from Mother Earth. We can receive and give love to the trees, to our families. Love is what we receive from Divine Mother Cosmos. That is the essence. Love is the essence. Always return to love. And your breath and your connection to nature are your most immediate ways.
Blessed be. Blessed be. I must say that does correspond with the oracles that I continually receive. Those two things, return to nature and return to love and the simplicity, breathe, come to present moment, detach from media, detach from devices, because all of that gets us fomented into the fear pictures and everything that's being promulgated right now. I'm going to just diverge a little bit because we do have a little question in here. Would you like to do that, Ariana? Sure. Okay. So from Betty, we have a question. Hello. Please, Ariana, give us some guidance for continuing our cosmic Q&A. She's been in the level 1 training, which, by the way, for everybody is still available through the Seven Sisters Mystery School site. If you would like to take the first step in becoming an oracle, the level 1 training is enrolling indefinitely due to popular demand. It's a self-paced, previously recorded, and you get some private time with me. So Betty here is referring to, how can we continue our cosmic Q&A? In other words, the portion of the meditation that I set out for you that allows you to access your divine knowing. How can we continue our cosmic Q&A and daily life guidance when we aren't as closely connected with the Oracle sisterhood?
So, so, dear one, the guides are saying you are always connected to us. You are always connected to your sisterhood through us, through the subtle realms. And you are also able to connect with all those on the planet and off the planet who are doing this work to help create positive change for us in these times. Trust and allow, give yourself permission. Thinking that you are not connected is another way to trick yourself out of being connected. The connection is always there, dear one, they're saying. Trust and allow.
Oh, blessed be. What a wonderful answer. That feels right on to me. Thank you for that higher level guidance. Okay. So we're going to move now to another question. This is a little bit on the more challenging side. Okay. So this one is, what ways are other beings seeking to corrupt us that we are unaware of? And how can we as spiritual people protect ourselves from buying into the unhelpful theories, what some call conspiracy theories, that disconnect us from the collective, knowing that some of that whistleblowing is accurate, maybe some of it is not. So how can we not veer off too much with those kinds of disclosures or streams of thought that are coming in, which might be disconnecting us from the collective?
Yeah, this is something that I have been asking about recently, and I've been receiving some information in my meditations and channelings that when we begin going into this oracle space and we begin reclaiming, and this is the way Marguerite teaches it, and I fully believe this myself, we're reclaiming an innate ability that we have as human beings to connect with spirit, bring through information from spirit. And it's not just from above, but it's also from below, from earth herself and all the beings on earth and under earth. So when we start taking ourselves, expanding our perceptions in these ways outside what is considered normal in our culture, like the five senses, then we may leave ourselves open to unconsciously allowing ourselves to believe other things that are really far out and weird, because some of the stuff we are receiving is far out and weird, and because what we're doing is not generally accepted in the culture. So what I'm receiving is that it's very, very important for us to check in with, again, the love. It's coming back to love, that the most important thing is love. And so some of the things that I hear from some of my colleagues, like the media is all run by a cabal, and it's all not for our highest good, etc. What I'm receiving is that can actually be part of these other beings trying to prevent us as spiritual beings from truly connecting in and doing our work to create the positive change. That's a way to disconnect us. So yeah, we have to be careful how much media we're consuming, what kind of media we're consuming, but to ascribe essentially a kind of essence of evil to all the media, to a cabal, is one of those things that is a good thing to hook us and pull us out and get us to disconnect and get us to not do anything actively to help create change other than our spiritual work. So it's the times are demanding that we not only do our spiritual work, but that we do our work for the higher and deeper and greater good. And so anything that takes you out of love, takes us out of that being aware of the humanity of the people in the media and being aware of the positive intentions that many do have, while at the same time being able to discern and discriminate between the ones that are really, you know, not promoting things that are for the greater good. So it's again coming back into the heart and checking in with self and saying, okay, if I follow this way of thinking, is this taking me out of my connection with humanity? Is this taking me out of my connection to the greater good? Is this pulling me away from doing anything to actually help create positive change? If it is, then it might be one of those things that is not useful or helpful for us.
Almost like just a different type of programming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in other words, people who are seers can also be influenced by a number of different thought streams, programs, some of which are positive, some of which are negative, some of which may be a real mix of accurate and not accurate. And how do we make our way through all of that?
Yeah. So that they were just showing me a kind of zigzag path.
Got it.
Take a look at this, take a look at that, but you're going to come back to your inner knowing and your heart, and you're going to connect in and ask your highest and deepest level guides. And I've also been given a lot of information recently about deeper and lower. It's important for us to reconnect with the deeper parts and not just think higher and upper and light, but the sacred dark, the deepness. When we reconnect there to underneath earth, to the low earth frequencies, if you know about the Schumann resonances, they're actually plural, very low frequencies. When we go into meditation, it's low frequency brain waves. Low, if we had no low frequencies, we would have no orchestras. There would be no cellos, no basses, no beautiful music. So harmony, is this harmonious or is this disharmonious?
Okay, this is fascinating. And I'm going to go out on a limb here because to my knowledge, people have not exactly looked at this. But when you look at it, do you see that there is a cabal? Do you see that there is this overarching grid work of negative beings that are hooking into human individuals that are at highest levels of corporations and things like that? Is that a useful rubric? Do you see that as there being something?
There is a culture that we have been raised in, that we have been taught. And it creates a certain kind of thinking. It creates a certain way of being. And it is not a culture of love. And yet, if we think of this as an overarching cabal, then when you say that word, that has a very, very heavy, very, very negative, very powerful connotation. It gives this image of something that's all powerful and it's over. We have more agency than that in my receiving. And we need to also continue to recognize the humanity of those who are in those upper levels of the corporations, the banks, their humanity is still calling to be seen, to be recognized. And the more we can do that and treat them with the same kind of love that we treat others, the more chance we have of creating this positive change. The more we other them by calling them a cabal, by, treating them as those who are just infected by other and the less chance we have of actually doing this weaving and bringing our culture back to a place, a kind of culture that works for all.
Yeah. This feels like a very important balancing element to some of the news that does come through various seers and channels who are dealing more with the negative side of things. I think there's room for a both and in there. It sounds to me like that. Yes, there are these elements that are negative, and perhaps they are being influenced by off-planet entities, energies, which, you know, we know from many traditions know that there are energies and entities that possess people or cause illnesses or cause various behaviors and things like that. But at the same time, we don't have to cower feeling unequal to the task or unequal to these beings and suddenly boxing off a whole bunch of humanity as irredeemably corrupted or evil, and that there is a way to start working with, or at least working with spirit to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in some senses, I'm moving into Oracle space with you now. Like, you know, I can feel my crown opening with you. And as a matter of fact, so this is some of what we're doing in the levels 3 and 4, where we open together to group questions. And there can be a synergy, you know, the sum is greater than, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And we all start activating each other, and we are able to bring forth even further information as we get in this conversation. And depending on the numbers of people, do you have 2, do you have 3, do you have 4 oracles, 5, 6 we've had? There are different geometries that get involved. So this is for those who are continuing into the levels 3 and 4 of the Oracle training. Okay, so that's great. I sense that there is a lot of discussion there that could be had, because different YouTube channels and things like Gaia TV and also, you know, they've been bringing us some very good information, ripping the veil off for us to see some of the negative things. And at the same time, there's always distortions that are coming in that. And it would be great if we have a place and a way where oracles, and I think this is where mature female oracles come in, could really look at these questions, bring some balance, help restore some empowerment to people. Like, okay, both and. There are these negative forces. They are sort of connected with various parts of humanity. And what's the best response to that? We don't want to get into polarization. So it sounds like that's what you're reading.
Yeah, and what I'm just receiving too is that the really strong putting forward about in the disclosure movement is this, that, and the other is actually facilitating those energies that aren't for our greater good.
Yeah.
In a way, it's facilitate the way that it's being done at this point is actually facilitating them to a certain degree.
Yeah, I have received that as well, that these energies are so wily that they'll get in whatever way they can. Like if they see the boat is going this direction, they'll be like, okay, how can we screw up that direction? If the boat is going this direction, how can we wend our way in there to, you know, get it to our thing, get it to our way.
Yeah, so what else is coming through is just continually, we have to continue to do our own clearing work. Yeah. And we have to get in groups, like you were talking about, doing our channeling, bringing through our information in groups so that we can balance each other and so that we can help each other pull out. We get sucked in there because it's kind of like a vortex.
Yeah.
And it's like it'll pull you in, or sometimes it'll go this way, or sometimes it'll go this way, but they'll suck you in. And so if you find that you're pulling in the same kind of stuff over and over again, it's time to back up, clear out, get someone to help you clear, get back to love, get back into nature, get grounded again, and ask for something else.
Yeah. And what am I supposed to do with all this? What am I supposed to do with the world as it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is fantastic. All right. So we have people who are saying hello, coming in, sharing this with others. We welcome you all. I'm Marguerite Rigoglioso. I'm with Ariana Newcomer, and she is a level 4 Dove Oracle Priestess from the Priestess of the Dove Oracle training. She is engaged with me as part of her certification for level 4 to do a public oracle on Facebook Live. And so we've been looking at questions, how to create more positiveness in the world, how to stay more connected with our own ability to be oracles, whether we've had training or not. And we've been looking at a little bit of, is there a way in which this disclosure community and the information about the cabal that's coming forth and so forth can also be infiltrated with programs and misleading information that actually creates or continues that very problem that it's trying to expose? And what can we do to be empowered citizens of planet Earth? All right. So if you have further questions, please post them, people. I see we've got over 100 who've been watching, and
Yay.
yeah. And so now I'm going to pose another question, which is, and this is getting into some other groovy esoteric territory. What is time bending? What is time bending? And is this something we can or should use?
So this is something that's really interesting to me, and something I really don't know anything about, other than having read A Wrinkle in Time as a kid and as an adult reading to my kids. So, and there are some truths in that. And just so you know, this is something that my body gives me as a signal when I'm getting information. Sometimes my head will go wink. So if you see me do that, I'm just receiving something. So time bending, okay. So I was up in the Sierra foothills and got to visit the giant sequoias at Calaveras Big Trees State Park, and they are just incredible beings. And I did a full moon channeling that was a message from the giant sequoias, and they mentioned that trees do time bending. So trees, of course, are so much longer lived than we are, especially these giant ones like the redwoods and the sequoias, who can live for thousands of years, right? The ancient baobabs in Africa. And the sequoias told me they are actually kin to the baobabs. And time bending is something that we can learn. We can start to learn from trees. So I'm just receiving this right now. If we go and sit with trees, especially some of the very, very long-lived kinds, and allow our consciousness to kind of go into the tree, ask for this alliance, ask for connection, or work with the tree that you're already connected with, and allow our consciousness to really move in to the tree and allow ourselves, our sense of time, to dissolve. Because we have ideas about time. Time, as humans see it, is an idea. It's a construct. It's a useful thing. The minutes and the seconds and the hours on the clock, and that's not how time really is. And time has the ability to move faster or slower, and it is, of course, much slower for trees. Their perspective is so much longer over, especially the very ancient ones, over hundreds of years or more. So allowing ourselves to our consciousness come into the tree, let go of our ideas about time, our perceptions of time, and think about, if we think of time as a line, as a timeline, Well, literally, the words time bending make you think, okay, I'm going to bend the line. And that's what they're showing me right now. It's, yeah. And so these 2 points can actually come together from this part of the timeline, this part of the timeline, boink. And that's part of the way we access past life memories. It's part of the way we can access seeing things in quote unquote future time. Although it's very important for us to let go. First, we have to let go of our ideas. First, we have to let go of the construct that we have, and we have to allow our perception of time to shift and change, because it's always shifting and changing is what I'm receiving. It's always shifting and changing. And so time bending as a construct is potentially very useful for us, and especially as oracles when we are looking for ways to help. And to me, this is our primary function as oracles. As the ancient oracles, the truly ancient oracles used to be the counselors and the guides for the people who were the rulers and etc. And the ancient oracles were women, and they were usually senior women. If you think about the councils of grandmothers in indigenous cultures used to have, the original Delphic oracles, as Marguerite has brought through, and Dodona, elder women. And as you look at the symbols of the goddess, right, they were elder women who were worshipped as the goddess, not pregnant, not young pregnant women. If you look at those goddess figurines, those are not pregnant. They're not fertility figures. They're elder women, right? Because we have that ability to connect into this way of seeing and seeing the streams of information. And this is part of what we do as oracles. So trees are one way that we can begin to access that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go a little more, one more notch. Let me, so, and Ashley is saying, I'm so glad you're talking about the nature of time and trees. Never thought of that connection. Trees being able to teach us how to time bend, and sequoias and baobabs being kin. I love that. So fascinating. So we've got some wonderful responses here. Let's just go one more notch with this, Ariana. So yeah, we're just going to stay on a few minutes here.
Okay.
Tell us more about how people can practically approach this time bending process. Let's say once they, oh, there's my printer. It always like goes off at like an interesting time where the guides want to emphasize something.
Marguerite has a printer oracle. Yeah.
It's a ghost in the machine over there.
Yeah.
So let's go further about how people can use this process of bending time ethically and for their greatest good. What would be an application of this? That why would somebody want to do this in their life?
It has to do with perspective. In general, as human beings, we have trained ourselves into a very limited perspective. And so a good part of oracle training is opening that back up bit by bit, and allowing ourselves to reclaim our innate abilities to connect with trees, to connect with spirits, to connect with elementals, to connect with fairies, to connect with all the other beings, the devas, the subtle realms, all these things that we've closed ourselves away from. And this aspect of time is another piece of being able to reclaim our wholeness as human and divine beings, that we have, because we have closed ourselves off, because we have disconnected ourselves from these natural aspects of ourselves, we have made ourselves less. We have reduced ourselves. We have limited ourselves. And to explore time in this way, to explore this fluid nature of time, and I think some of the physicists have actually talked about time as more like a river than so linear. But you know, they showed me this kind of thing too, that points on the supposed timeline can come together. And this is also how, quote unquote, psychic communication works. This is like quantum physics stuff. Quantum physics is starting to get to some of these things, but how we can communicate from one time to another time, as we see it, from one part of the world to another part of the world, from one part of the universe to another part of the universe. That's, I'm forgetting the word they use in quantum physics, something like synchronicity or something like that. But this will be so valuable to us as we are recreating our culture, to have this expanded perception of time, that it's not so crucial that this happened now, that we can actually do, I do a practice in the programs I run called subtle activism, which is something I learned from David Nickel, whom Marguerite knows well. It's a practice of creating a conscious group energy field and sending our energy out to affect positive change in the collective. When we do this very consciously with protections, etc. And this is another form I'm just receiving of time bending, that we're actually sending out this energy into the collective, into the field, the quantum field, and it gets used in different times. Just receiving this, so that we, a lot of what we're doing now in spiritual work when we're working with clients and students is ancestral clearings and karmic clearings. And this is a time when we're able to clear a lot of karma instead of having to continue to carry it forward through lifetimes. And so what they're just showing me is that this idea of time bending is important with this work too, that as we do this work of sending our energy into the collective consciously with highest and deepest intent for the greatest good, that we're also helping to heal things in different times, and what we think of as different times.
Fascinating.
So our collective spiritual work is really valuable.
Yeah. So what I'm getting is that prayer is even a form of time bending.
Yeah.
Prayer that this happened means, hello, universe. In the timeline that I'm in, could you please snap it to this probable future? Okay. And when we're doing a subtle activism, we're saying, hello, universe. Could you please align the river to flow over here now? And then when we're doing that type of healing, or an ancestral healing, or inner child work, we're saying, hello, universe, could you go back to that time when that child received the trauma, and could you bring in some healing light so that we're almost creating a new subtle timeline by which this person is going to come into the now feeling less traumatized?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right. I think we are working with time way more than we know that we are.
Yeah.
When we're doing prayer, when we're doing activism, when we're doing healings, and so forth. So that's quite fascinating. And it feels like there's a lot of room for many people to explore this. And of course, we want to do it ethically, because you could put a group will into something that is not the highest good. And you always want to stipulate this, align this to be this or better for the greatest good of all. You always want to stipulate that so that it will automatically, adjust. Because sometimes people are like, oh, please make this war end. When actually the greatest good is that this war continue and that it get to this place, you know, so, right?
Yes, so we always have to remember that we do not necessarily know what the greatest good is.
No, you have to have the element of surrender, trust, and asking of the highest, you know, best, most aligned and wise forces.
And deepest.
And deepest to be in connection with us for this procedure that we're doing. Yeah. Okay. People are loving the printer oracle. I'm just going to check one more time to see if there are any more questions that people are having. But in the meanwhile, Ariana, is there anything else that you'd like to dig in and say?
Well, I just would love, this is something I have been working with. I just want to bring in a little more about the deeper and the lower frequencies. That's been a real theme that's been coming through for me for a couple of years. And as a musician, as somebody who has studied music and sung professionally, and you know, my partner's a violinist and played with orchestras and things, it never made sense to me that we have to raise our vibration. And so I just kept asking, what is this? What is it? And what I received was, well, that's a simplification that we created to make it easy for you. But recently I received, we actually did that in order to prevent you from becoming too powerful before you were ready as human beings. And that this constant idea of raising our vibration in the singular puts our attention away from our deeper energies, which are the balancing foundation of everything. And what we actually need to be doing is learning to tune into different levels, but we've got to reclaim the lower, the deeper frequencies. As I said, we wouldn't have orchestras if all low vibrations were bad. If we had no low vibrations, we wouldn't connect to Earth. If we had no low vibrations, we would actually fly apart. What I received that too. If we just go into total higher vibrations, we'd be gone.
Yeah, we would not be embodied.
So we're here in human bodies. Part of being who we are now is being both human and divine. And it means reclaiming this harmony of the very low vibrations, which we can't hear with our ears, but we can sense, we can feel into them with our energy fields and with our greater senses. Yeah. So it's time to stop thinking about just raising our vibration. We have to think about reclaiming the deeper, lower frequencies as good, not bad. If you think about it, think about anger. Anger is a high vibration emotion, right? So if you're trying to keep yourself from feeling any low frequency emotions, you're not going to go into meditation. You're not going to be calm. You're not going to be loving. That's lower frequency, okay? So it's much more interesting, right? It's about harmony. It's about learning to pay attention to different levels of frequency ranges. So it's not one frequency ever. Every cell in our bodies, every kind of cell vibrates at a different rate, a different frequency. Everything vibrates, everything, and we're multiple. We're a harmony of frequencies. So our work is really coming into harmony and learning to be able to pay attention, not just to higher frequency ranges, but to lower frequency ranges, so that we balance and so that we have that foundation, because that's from where we actually draw even more of our power. And so again, we got to think about for the greater good, and we don't always know what that is.
Right.
Balancing that higher with the lower is extremely important right now.
Blessed be. It seems like, you know, we have to be careful around our language with all this and revise it. And Betty is saying this is also true of shadow work. Where we are reclaiming unclaimed aspects of ourselves, even hated parts, and making friends with them, shifting the energies, shifting the timeline of our inner psyches. Very well put, Betty.
Yeah, thank you, Betty. That's lovely.
And Debbie is offering, wonderful to hear that we balance all the frequencies. Yes, lower frequencies play an important part of our balance as a being. So I'm just going to spend a few more minutes here because, of course, I can't resist. Frequencies. So recently I was at a town meeting locally where the people are very concerned about the frequencies of the radio frequencies, the electromagnetic frequencies, the Wi-Fi cell towers, the use of these devices. And this one woman had this little Geiger counter and she said, press your cell phone. I did. And the thing went insane to a 6 level. And she said, did you know that cancer is at 0.6 cancer causation? This thing is even off the charts of this electromagnetic radiation device. So I was like, whoa, my cell phone's, I'm like now touching it and just getting away from it, you know, and because it calms down when it goes to sleep. It calms down when so they are going to be putting, their plan is, and let's work some subtle activism on this, to put even more intense, frequent, and close together smaller towers so that we can access a 5G
5G, right,
technology that's going forth. 5G, which is going to really be reaming through our bodies, through our trees, through our animals. And the question is, we will conclude with this: what can we do about this?
One of the things that I received, and I have just been given copper as an element to work with, and I just bought a piece of sort of raw copper when I was up in Sierra foothills. That copper is a conductor of electricity, and that so that copper can be helpful to us. And our subtle activism, sending our intentions to the people who are, you know, of course, they're excited working with this technology. They're thinking, wow, this is going to be great. And there is that little inner voice that's saying, ruh-roh, you know, this could be bad, but they're so in love with this. And there's you know, of course, the people who are making the cell phones and things they want this. So to send our love and our spiritual energy to these people, send them love instead of sending anger, because that's going to just automatically set up this kind of thing. We're really angry with you. We think you're bad, you're horrible, you're awful, you're wrong. Then that automatically does this. I know I do. Anybody says that to me, no, you're wrong. I put up the wall. And so our way in has to be again with love, and it has to be again with. So this is our spiritual work, sending love to the higher and deeper self of these people in technology, and finding the zigzag way through time to get in to them, doing our time bending as we're doing it, and also to be active, to do things, to write, to call, to it's not going to be enough for us to just sit in our homes and do our spirit work, though that is important and valuable. And still it has to come back to love. It has to come back to that we do this not from a place of me. We do this from, I'm coming to you for the health and well-being of us all.
Yes. Blessed be. Blessed be. Very beautiful. I want to thank you so much on behalf of Seven Sisters Mystery School for being such a beautiful, committed Dove Oracle Priestess. We're honoring Ariana being at level 4 now and really getting herself out there as a woman who is accessing information, showing us as a model of how we can do this by accessing through our divine selves, our goddess selves, our divine Sophia wisdom, not necessarily having to take on a personality of another being into our body, but just being able to tap in through our wisdom stream and the divine one that we are into the greater information, the Akashic records, so that we can have guidance for our own lives, for our families, for the community, and for the world. And so these videos are steps in this direction of both modeling this and also providing information to people that could be useful and that could spur them to go into their own oracle state. All right. So thank you, Ariana. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you to everybody who's been watching live and who will be watching throughout. If you'd like to find out more about how to develop your own oracle abilities, please go to 7sistersmysteryschool.com and click under the Priestess of the Dove Oracle Training link, and you'll be able to see the class that is continuing to be offered in an online self-paced format. All right. Okay.
This way of channeling, and just want to put in another plug, the way that Marguerite teaches gives us so many more options for how we bring in information, because it's not just connecting with one being and bringing through that one being's words and being taken over. This is about being sovereign, being ourselves, and having the options. I've got a huge circle of guys that I bring information from. So.
Absolutely, me too. I'm like, who do I want to talk to today? Who would be the best one for this? Including, let's not forget Gloria and Sylvia. Okay, we're here. Hello to everybody. All right, we're Marguerite Guides from Long Island in the 5th dimension. Hello, Mazel Tov, and have a very wonderful day. Okay, all right, Ariana, many thanks to you, dear ones. So we're going to conclude now, and we will make this video available for everybody else. All right, blessed be.
Bye.